Entrusted by the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, Prime Minister Sefi Gharieb is in Niamey, Niger, on an official visit at the head of a high-level ministerial delegation to take part in the second session of the Algeria-Niger Joint Commission for Cooperation. Expert meeting in Niamey to prepare for the Algerian-Niger Joint Cooperation Commission highlighted the will of the two countries to strengthen cooperation and partnership in several sectors in the service of the interests of the two brotherly peoples. As the situation remains tense in the Middle East and Gulf region, US President Donald Trump has announced that the US and Iran had very good and productive discussions on a total and full cessation of hostilities. Hello and welcome to Radio Algeria International. I'm your host, Masoud Sharfi. The Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, Army General Said Shengriha, has chaired a ceremony during which he presented his greetings on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr. Army General Shengriha extended his greetings to the personnel of the People's National Army and their families, wishing them Eid al-Fitr blessings, prosperity and progress, while highlighting the 64th anniversary of the Victory Day as a historic milestone achieved thanks to the sacrifices of millions of Algerian men and women. He stressed the need to understand rapid geopolitical changes, including war and weakened international law, and urged vigilance, especially regarding their impact on global South countries.
Our celebration of these two occasions comes in the context of rapid and dangerous geopolitical changes currently affecting the international situation, marked by a return to the option of war and military interventions, a reduction in the role of multilateral organizations, and a disregard for the rules of international law, which impacts the sovereignty of states and their national choices. Accordingly, everyone must raise awareness with a high level of professionalism and forward-looking anticipation of the deep geopolitical changes the world is going through, especially with regard to their repercussions on the countries of Global South.
That was the Minister Delegate to the Minister of National Defense, Chief of Staff of the People's National Army, Army General Said Shengriha. Entrusted by the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, Prime Minister Sefi Gharieb is in Niamey, Niger, on an official visit at the head of the high-level ministerial delegation to take part in the second session of the Algeria-Niger Joint Commission for Cooperation. Prime Minister was received by the Prime Minister of the Republic of Niger, Ali Lamine Zain, upon his arrival at Niamey International Airport. The visit, aimed at strengthening brotherly relations and cooperation, provides an opportunity to intensify high-level political consultations and consolidate the strategic partnership, reflecting Algeria's commitment under the leadership of President Abdelmajid Tebboune to play a key role in African integration, drawing on its historical record of supporting the continent's cause and promoting solidarity among its peoples. The visit agenda aims to boost bilateral cooperation by fast-tracking regional projects like the Trans-Saharan Highway, fiber optic links, and the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, strengthening security and energy partnerships, expanding collaboration in such key sectors such as finance, agriculture, industry, health, infrastructure, and education. Agreements and memoranda of understanding to elevate economic and trade relations to broader levels are due to be signed. It also includes the organization of an Algerian-Niger business forum with a wide participation from public and private sector actors to explore investment opportunities and strengthen bilateral economic partnerships. The visit reaffirms the depth of strength and relations between Algeria and the Republic of Niger based on the principles of good neighborliness and solidarity under the shared will of both countries' leaderships to establish a renewed cooperation dynamic that serve common interest and promotes regional and continental integration. Earlier, the participants to the Algerian-Niger Joint Commission for Cooperation at the Expert Level, held in Niamey, highlighted the will of the two countries to strengthen cooperation and partnership in several sectors in the service of the interests of the two brotherly peoples. In a statement made to Algerian Press Service (APS) on the sidelines of the preparatory meeting for the second session of the High Joint Commission, representatives from Algerian and Niger ministries stressed the need to strengthen bilateral cooperation, deepen the strategic partnership, and explore new areas of collaboration. In this context, the Director General of the National Chamber of Handicrafts and Trades, CNAM, Mr. Abdelkarim Berkri, said efforts are underway to boost relations through an action plan, including training and exchanges in tourism, hospitality, and handicrafts between Algeria and Niger.
So, we are here to give a new impetus to relations, examine what has been done, and set out an action plan for the future. For the tourism and handicraft sector, Algeria has already taken charge of training scholarships for the Niger counterparts within tourism, culinary, and hospitality training institutions. Concerning handicrafts, our counterparts are participating in the various activities taking place in Algeria, and vice versa. We also take part in activities held in Niger. We are also planning training in Niger to learn the crafts of leather and metal work. In Algeria, we will teach them the crafts of ceramics and pottery. So there is work underway and an action plan being drawn up to implement everything that has been stated by the public authorities.
The meeting was co-chaired by the Director General for Africa at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Mr. Boualam Shabihi, who said 3 subcommittees will focus on legal framework and cooperation actions for the Commission's records.
3 sous-commissions qui vont être mises en place.
3 subcommittees will be set up, and from there, each party will work on 2 main priorities. The first is the legal framework. The second main priority is the cooperation actions that will be recorded in the minutes of the Commission.
Le PV de la Commission.
For his part, the Secretary General of Niger's Foreign Ministry, Mr. Suleiman Isakou, said Niger seeks to strengthen ties with Algeria through legal, economic, and security cooperation.
Le Niger a décidé de renforcer.
Niger has decided to strengthen its cooperation with countries with which it shares common values, such as the sister Republic of Algeria. Over 2 days, you are expected to reflect on the implementation of previous agreements and the adoption of new ones, as well as on the examining of the future legal instruments of this cooperation. The economic, commercial, and financial cooperation between our 2 countries will also be addressed, and the prospects for its strengthening will be identified. We will also lay the foundations for military and security cooperation in order to pool together our efforts and resources in the fight against terrorism and insecurity.
Et l'insécurité.
It is worth noting that the meeting of experts was an opportunity to highlight the prospects for strengthening partnership and cooperation between the two brotherly countries in several fields, notably energy, infrastructure, finance, and telecommunications. Algeria has launched the exploitation of major mining Amizur Bijaya facilities such as Garaj Bilad Tindouf and Tala Hamza Amizur Bijaya, and is anticipating the start of the integrated phosphate project in the east of the country, thereby consolidating the foundations for a qualitative shift in its development path, which also signals a real revival in the mining sector with major economic repercussions on the country's futures as a whole. More details with Mohamed Khatel.
This transformation reflects the vision of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, to make Algeria's potential, especially its mining resources, a pillar for building a prosperous and diversified economy and strengthening national sovereignty with state investment in mining, laying new foundations for the economy and future generations. In 2026, coinciding with the 60th anniversary of Algeria's mining nationalization, the country launched the Garaj Bilad iron ore mine and the 950-kilometer long Garaj Bilad Tindouf Bashar railway. The President highlighted this project as a strategic plan to promote national resources and connect the Deep South with the rest of the country. Garaj Bilad, with 3.5 billion tons of iron ore, leads a national mining initiative alongside the Weda Mizur zinc and lead mine and the Bled al-Hadba Annaba railway, both set to be operational this year. Algeria is positioning itself as a future international fertilizer exporter with Amizur Tel Hamza zinc and lead project, one of the region's largest deposits with 53 million tons of reserves. The mine will produce 2 million tons of raw ore annually, yielding 200,000 tons of concentrate, create over 700 direct and 4,000 indirect jobs, and stimulate subcontracting and small enterprises to boost national production and processing industries. On the other hand, the Tebessa phosphate project is accelerating, aiming to make Algeria a top global exporter by raising production from 2.5 to 10.5 million tons annually. It exploits the Bled al-Hadba mine, sends 6 million tons to Soukharas for chemical processing, and expands the Annaba port alongside the Eastern Railway with 150 to 175 kilometers of the remaining 450-kilometer line. The port expanding will allow large vessels, turning Annaba into a global logistics hub to attract major shipping companies and boost the competitiveness of mining products. Algerian phosphate shipments from Annaba are expected to start between late 2026 and mid-2027, thus increasing the country's fertilizer production capacity.
As the situation remains tense in the Middle East and Gulf region, U.S. President Donald Trump has announced that the U.S. and Iran have had a very good and productive discussions on a total and full cessation of hostilities. More details with Mariam Barshi.
In a message posted on his Truth social network, the American president assured that the discussions would continue this week and announced that he postponed the strikes on power plants and energy infrastructure in Iran for a 5-day period. He stated that the 5-day moratorium on strikes would depend on the success of the ongoing discussions and meetings. President Trump's surprising move came in the wake of an ultimatum he issued earlier threatening to target Iranian energy infrastructure unless the Strait of Hormuz is reopened within 48 hours. However, Iran's fast news agency quoted sources as saying that there has been no direct or indirect connection between Iran and the US. The Iranian Defense Council has warned it would lay mines across the Gulf and to target U.S. power facilities if its coasts were attacked in response to the U.S. threats. It is worth noting that the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has had a phone conversation with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov, who stressed the necessity of securing an immediate cessation of hostilities. He spoke out in favor of a political settlement, underlining that only diplomacy could lead to a de-escalation in the Middle East. China, for its part, warned against the risk that the situation be out of control if it deteriorates further.
Now to Lebanon, where one person has been killed and another injured in an artillery bombardment by the Israeli occupying army against the village of Haniyi in the district of Tyre, according to the Lebanese news agency. At dawn, a fierce airstrike destroyed the Kakayat El Jisr bridge, a strategic route linking the Nabati region with Wadi Al Hujayr and the Gaburia area. For his part, the president of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, has condemned the Zionist attacks carried out yesterday in the south of the country against bridges and other infrastructure, describing them as a flagrant violation of the country's sovereignty. Aoun condemned the attacks and the destruction by the Zionist entity of vital infrastructure and facilities in southern Lebanon, in particular the Kasamieh bridge over the Litani River and the other bridges, the Lebanese presidency stated in a communique. The Arab Parliament has firmly condemned the attacks perpetrated by Jewish settlers backed by the Israeli occupying forces against several villages and localities of the West Bank. The Speaker of the Arab Parliament, Mohammed bin Ahmed al-Yamahi, stressed that such crimes constituted a serious and systematic escalation targeting the defenseless Palestinians and their properties. He went on to say that such acts of murder, intimidation, arson, of houses and goods carried out by settlers constituted an organized terrorism backed by the Israeli occupying authorities and a violation of the international humanitarian law and the Geneva Conventions. He emphasized that such actions translated the will to compromise all peace prospects in the region. This came as at least 13 Palestinians, including one journalist, were arrested by the Israeli occupying forces for the past 2 days in various parts of the West Bank. Meanwhile, 3 Palestinians were killed and 8 others wounded in Israeli attacks targeting a locality in the refugee camp of Nusayrat in the central part of the Gaza Strip. That was all for today. Thank you so much. Stay tuned.